The kids are going to come back from winter break with more energy than you. Hey there, it's Katie Jarvis with Managing the Mess. If we haven't met before, I'm a K through 6 elementary art teacher, and I teach at a Title I school just outside of Washington, D.C. In this video, I'm going to break down for you what I do to prep and prepare for that inevitable return to school after winter break, and what I do with my students to get them back on track with behaviors when we return. In that week or two leading up to winter break, you need to be thinking about future you. If you've taught before, you know that first week in January, after relaxing and enjoying a long winter break, I have 2 weeks of winter break. So I really get into that relaxation mode. Our last day of school is December 15th. But I know when we come back in January, that is one of the most physically and mentally exhausting weeks. Just trying to get the kids back into that routine, trying to get myself back into that routine can be tough. I feel like just the everyday things that I do at school are harder when I come back in January because I've had that time to rest and relax, and I'm just not as quick on my feet. So what I like to do in the last week or so before the break is think about my future self and lesson plan. That's right, lesson plan for when you come back. I cannot tell you how many posts I see on Facebook over winter break where people are looking around for something to do, maybe something wintry and fun when we come back in January. And they're posting this like December 28th, December 29th. Do not stress yourself out over the break. You deserve a break. So plan ahead and think about what you're going to be doing. You can always change your plans. If you find something cute on Instagram, you see something great that somebody else is doing, you're just not feeling what you planned, you can change it, okay? Like, you're the boss. But I would at least have something there. So if you are tired and lazy and you just don't want to go there with lesson planning over the break, you don't have to. For me, the way that I kind of chunk up my school year, in this part of the school year, I do all the really high value projects, and the really, really, really messy stuff is what I'm focused on in this part of the school year. When I get to the fourth quarter, I'm going to shut down the mess. You're going to see my room's going to start getting a little bit cleaner. In the fourth quarter, I focus on weaving and sewing, and I start cleaning and organizing and using my planning time to order supplies and prep materials for the next year. So my January plans are going to be something very high value, but I'm digging into the painting and the clay and all the printmaking and all of the messy things because I need to get that out of the way before my relaxing, let's be real, until my less mess, different kind of fun fourth quarter. Now, be thinking about if you want to potentially, stay late, maybe one day that last week before the break and just clean things up, get things a little bit nicer than normal so that when you come back, you're not coming back to a mess. I always don't think it's that bad when I leave and then I come back in and I'm like, oh my God, who did that? Oops, it was me. So make sure that you have set aside a little bit of time. You might just want to leave on Friday when the bell rings. But you may want to plan some time earlier in the week where you're going to get things organized in your art space so that you are ready for the return of students in January. When we come back in January, expect a mix of emotions from students. There are going to be students that are very excited to be back. They really appreciate the consistency and the comfort and the routines of school. You're going to have students that were living their best life over the break. They were eating all the snacks, playing all the video games, and sleeping in. They're going to have some trouble adjusting coming back to school. They might be lower energy and tired. You also might have students where things in their life changed in those 2 weeks that they weren't in school. So there could be a mix of emotions. Also expect it from yourself. It is tough coming back in January. There is this exciting fresh start element, but also I think that when you have some time to slow down over the break and do things that are important to you and spend time with people that you care about and just enjoy, it's hard to get back into the rat race of teaching art. So just expect that and know that. To ease back into things with your students, I would recommend doing a rule and routine review that first class back. When we return to school in January, I recommend taking 5 or 10 minutes and going over your art room rules. This is like a mini version of the first day of school. On the first day of school, I didn't greet my students in the room. I greeted them in the hallway. So in January, I'll be doing the same thing. I was out there with a little visual reminder about how students would come into my room and how they should be seated on the carpet or in the chairs, and what does that look like. So I'm setting those high expectations, and then I'm allowing the students to come in and they're getting that feeling of how does this feel to get this right, rather than them running back in January and shouting things out that they wanted to share and me having to pull back or have them go back out and do it again. I'm getting that fresh start and they're coming into the art room correctly, ready to go. Then I'm going to be going over my rules. At the beginning of the year, I did teach my rules with a video where I acted out as if I was a student, showing what to do, what not to do. So for example, I have how to sit in the chairs, how we don't sit in the chairs, and showed a little bit of goofy variations with that. I could re-show that video to my students. I'm also going to want to go slowly through routines. Now, there were many routines that I taught within those first weeks of school. I would teach the routines as those things came up. So how to clean up, how to line up as those things were happening, especially routine specific things for materials such as painting or clay. If we're not doing those that first day back, I'm not going to go over those, but as it comes up, I'm going to slowly go through those things. I have a list over on Teachers Pay Teachers, a checklist that you can use of the routines that I taught at the beginning of the year. I'm going to go through that again and think about what do I want to review at this little midway point in January when we do return. Reflect on how things are going in your classroom. What are behaviors that you're really having to manage a lot? Is it sitting in the stools? Is it students talking when you're talking? Is it cleanup? Are there certain areas in your room that you always have to fix and clean up after school? Are there certain supplies where you're just like, the students are not understanding how to put these away? Stop and reflect on that. Are you spending way too much time outside of school doing schoolwork? Are you spending way too many hours in your classroom? Set goals for yourself in those areas so that you can enjoy being an art teacher more. Now, a year ago now, I started making videos on YouTube, and Managing the Mess now has over 100 videos on art room management. They are designed to help you save time, to make your job easier, and help you feel less alone in this crazy career. I hope that you will take some time for yourself over winter break, snuggle up under a warm blanket, and find some of those videos that would address some of your goals for the coming year as an art teacher. I can't wait to see you in my next video. Enjoy your winter break.